Inspecting what you expect. What in the world does that mean? And honestly, I feel like I need to give somebody a shout out, but I can't remember who, because I was literally in a class learning, being educated, being motivated, and somebody said that. And you ever go to like a class or a seminar and you could be there for hours, and oftentimes I find mini nuggets. But this is just one of those nuggets that just stuck with me. Inspect what you expect. Are your expectations in line with your team? Yes, you told them. Yes, you trained them. But you need to inspect what you expect from them. That is your responsibility as a leader and a manager. And I think oftentimes that part is missed. Listen, I have experienced managers above me and managers below me and just peers of mine that don't even quite frankly find the time to train and teach and get somebody to do something because, right, we're so good at what we do, nobody can do it as well as we do, so it's easier to do the job ourselves. And again, everyone knows I have an episode about being a mom and being a leader. How about this? We're having company. It's time to make the kids' beds. Isn't it just easier to make them myself? I can put the pillows where I want them. I can put the clothes where I want them. And the rooms can look beautiful when our company comes. It's harder to say, kids, go make your beds. Because what do I need to do? If I want to be pleased when I walk my company or grandma around the house and they see the kids' room, do I want to lose my noodle because the bed's not made or the bed's not made the way I want it made? Or do I want to teach my child independence, teach them responsibility? And the way to do that, to make sure I'm pleased when the company comes, is to inspect what I expect. So go make your bed and mommy's going to come check it. And the first time it's, let me show you how to make your bed, right? Let me show you how to make the bed and then allow them to do it. It's the same thing with work. Let me show you how to do this. Now let me scoot over and you do a couple steps. And we also have to do what, right? In business, we have to teach in a way that the recipient will learn. It's different for everyone. Don't hand me a book and ask me to read it and then ask me to go work on the computer. I really need to be the one sitting in front of the computer, and I'm so sorry, I need you looking over my shoulder telling me what buttons to touch. And then it's okay at some point to say, scoot over, Susan, and let me just show you, right? If you're going to fix the computer for me every time. But if you want me to learn to fix my own computer, you have to teach me in a way that I can receive it, which means you being patient and you letting me put my hands on the keys and you teaching me which button, where to move the mouse, how to do it. And that's where it starts, taking the time to train people, taking the time to realize that it will take more time to train than it takes me to do it myself. It might not be up to my standard. I might have to tweak some things, teach the person how to fix some things, but I'm going to end up really disappointed if I don't inspect what I expect. This idea that the job of training and teaching is done when we've taught and we've seen one or two times, and some people don't even take the one or two times to make sure people are doing it well. But the idea, this is not a catch and release deal. You know, this is not I'm going to teach you and I'm going to be done. This is I'm going to teach you and then I'm going to look at the product that you were able to create by me teaching it. I'm going to inspect it and I'm going to make sure you did it well. And I also think it's really important as leaders that when we do finally get to a place where somebody's doing the job well, have you ever had your boss come to you and say, hey, why aren't we getting that report anymore? And your answer is, well, I taught Sally how to do it. She was doing it. So if Sally's not doing the report anymore that she's supposed to turn in to your boss, whose fault is that? Is that Sally's fault or is your fault? I also think it's a mindset that if Sally's not doing the job that I taught her to do, that I'm responsible for the outcome, that's on me, not on Sally. So we teach. We teach in a way that the recipient can receive our teaching and learn to do the job that we're teaching them. We scoot over and let them do it in front of us. We don't walk away until it's done. And if it's wrong, we go back to them for them to fix it. And then we have them copy us. In our world, if I'm teaching someone to do a settlement statement, I have them copy me on the first few. I look at them, I review them. I tell them when they no longer need to copy me. But then a couple months later, whatever the project is, whatever the client is, whoever it is, I go back and I double check to make sure they're still doing it the way that I taught them, because some people get a little too big for their britches, right? So you may teach them and they might think, oh, I'll tweak this, it's better. Now that I know how to do this, I'm smarter, I'm sharper. And they still might not understand in our world the regulations and the requirements that go into them doing it the way we taught them. So again, we have a responsibility to continually inspect what we expect from people. And I really believe that that is missed in, again, can't help myself, but both in parenting and in managing and in leading. So I think it's also important to say you have to identify the talent opportunities. What can be delegated across your team? Who is the talented and what opportunities do you have for delegation? Create a realistic time for delegation. What does that do? That means that you hold yourself accountable to a timeline, because again, it is what? Easier to do it ourselves. So you create a timeline for you, and you also share with the employee that you're going to delegate to. This is what I'm going to delegate to you, and this is the timeline. And I always tell my employees, and if I don't get with you to teach you this within this timeline, it's your job to raise your hand to me because I'm busy. So you set expectations in each area of delegation. Again, identify the talent, identify the items or the duties or the responsibilities that the talent will do well with, and create a realistic timeline that you share to hold yourself accountable, but give your person that your mentee, right, some responsibility to make sure it happens, so you don't wake up one day and find out that it never, ever moved forward. And quite frankly, listen to what I'm saying. You're also creating a motivated, self-starting employee. You're giving them the opportunity to take hold of their future, what they get to do next. Because we all have experienced the employee that says, I want more, but they're not going to participate in getting more. They're going to blame you or the circumstance for not getting more. This way, you've really put it in their hands to hold you accountable, but you're also seeing how badly do they want the next level. So I think in addition to that, set clear expectations and make time to expect. Teach well and make time to inspect, I should say. Remember that this is a chess game, right? We're always moving the pieces to win for our people and profit. We can't ever have an episode where we don't talk about people and profit. So this is a chess game, and the pieces are moving. So when you do teach your employee how to do their next step, you're sitting and you still need to evaluate the business model. Does it work to give them that? Do you still need the process to be this way? And you learn from their move, and maybe we change the game up a little bit. Maybe it's an opportunity to change the business model, because now you have somebody that doesn't know how to do it, that you've taught to do it, and they bring you what? A new perspective. So part of inspecting what you expect is to make sure they're doing it the way you taught them, but then saying to an employee, hey, now that I've taught you this, now that you've done the role for 30, 60, 90 days, and I'm looking and you're doing it perfectly, what is your input? What do you think we could do better? And then they have some ideas and you say, well, we can't do that. And that gives me an opportunity to teach you about our audit department. That gives me an opportunity to teach you about regulation. But that employee is an amazing idea, and you just made the process simpler and you made it better. And by the way, I think you're going to have some extra time and I can give you another task. And also, I think let's talk about time management. If I have a task that takes me 45 minutes every day to do it, and I'm going to delegate that task to Ashley, and I'm going to teach Ashley how to do it, and she's a quick learner, so I don't need to teach as long or inspect as much with Ashley. But for conversation purposes, I'm going to teach her in a style that works for her. I'm going to be clear about the expectation, clear about her job duties, clear about the deadline, clear about everything. And I'm going to add something else to my day. But I'm not going to add 45 minutes of work to my day. I'm going to add 30 minutes to my day so that I can continue to work with Ashley and talk to Ashley about what I've delegated to her, how it's doing, how people are responding, what her thoughts are. And then it's like rinse and repeat. She gets that down. And quite frankly, our people should be more talented than we are. So she's going to do what I did in 45 minutes. In some areas, in less time than I did. And in other areas, it's going to create need for more conversation with me because I'm a different type of leader. And I'm going to show her things and help her discover things that she can do beyond that. So it might take her less time, but it might take her more time because she's learning through her own eyes where she can take maybe, again, a project that I've been working on to the next level. So again, don't assume that it's going to take the person the same amount of time it took you. Have conversation, have dialogue, and don't fill that spot in your world, in your workday completely because you need to leave the time to go back. And again, when I say rinse and repeat, what do I mean? You get to move on and discover new things that you can give to other people based on each experience because you've taken the time to inspect what you expect. And in some ways, again, like everything else I talk about, this is not rocket science, but part of my desire and my need to take time to do these episodes is it is the smallest of things that move things forward. Ever since I sat in that seminar and I heard him say, inspect what you expect, I have made it part of my daily conversation with my team. And when a manager says to me, Sally didn't do that well, that's Sally, and I always look at them and say, no, that's you. Why didn't you inspect what you expected from Sally? What about this piece? So again, delegate, back up. Again, identify talent. Keep your eyes open. Don't keep your head down doing your job. Keep your eyes open to watch for talent. Watch and match talent with responsibility. Teach at their level, in their way. Move over. Give them the keyboard. The changes, the corrections, have them do them. Ask for their input. Inspect what you expect. Let them send the work through you until you're certain they have the steps correct. And even later, circle back to see what they think about what they're doing, how they think you could improve it, how they think they could improve it, and see if based on their talent and how well they've done with this, if there's something else you should be giving them, and ask them if there's something that they're doing that they believe they should give to someone else and teach them. This is on and on and on and repeat and repeat and repeat. That's what we do in business every single day. So I also think you have the opportunity to feel empowered, but to empower others, to feel elevated, but elevate others. And also we're responsible for improving our business. And now we're sharing that responsibility with someone else and we're teaching them all the pieces. I think that, again, you are training to continue to empower and improve. So we can empower, we can improve by inspecting what we expect. And I think it's just coincidental that those are all I and E words. I just wanted to point that out in case anybody else didn't notice. So with that being said, how do you stay motivated as a leader? One of the ways I stay motivated is by going back and having conversations, but efficiencies are also very important. So we don't just sit around and shoot the breeze about things that I've passed on to other people, but to talk about how it makes sense or how it doesn't make sense. The other thing to talk about is, have you ever had the experience where you've delegated something and through someone else's eyes, you determine that that role, that job, that duty doesn't even need to be done anymore. It's obsolete. It's not necessary. So again, I think there's just so many openings here to enhance, improve, empower everything around us. And that's how I stay motivated as a leader. And I think also something that's just really inspirational to me in my world as a leader is being able to take these things that I think are logical. Math is logical, leadership is logical, and getting the results we need is logical as well. And I want to say this, it takes more time to be bothered by all the work you have to do than it does to create a plan, identify talent, to pass the opportunity on to someone else. And oftentimes the things that we do that we no longer are motivated by, somebody else would be so motivated and so empowered and feel so good about themselves to have that responsibility. So also remember that one man's trash is another man's treasure. So many things that we could say about that. I remember recently we promoted someone and we got them a corporate credit card, and Ashley and I looked at each other and said, remember when we first got our corporate credit card? We were so cool. And now listen, I am so glad I have my corporate credit card, and I have a fiduciary responsibility, and we could talk about that all day long too, a fiduciary responsibility to manage the money that my company allows me to spend. But I remember that first corporate credit card and how good it felt. So don't cheat people who work with you and work for you into having the next level, whether it's a responsibility, whether it's a perk, whatever it is, share, but also inspect what you expect. So as always, love your input. It's the smallest of details that make the biggest difference. Share some detail with me when you get a moment about what you thought about my conversation today on inspecting what you expect.